So hey guys, this is GKCS. Today we have Striver with us, who's also known as Take You Forward. No, actually he's known as Raj. But Striver, welcome to the show. So my first question, Striver, is that who is responsible or who is whose decision is it to hire an employee? So when we say that a company, let's say, comes to campus or a company is hiring somebody as a lateral hire, um, where does the end decision lie? Does it lie on a company or does it lie on society, or is it like a hybrid kind of thing?
I think a lot of it depends from company to company. You cannot say someone like an hiring manager decides it, because generally hiring manager will be like, I have one opening, I need a SD for this or SD2 for this. I've never heard it an hiring manager saying ki I require a female SD or I require a male SD. That I haven't heard it. It's I think probably from the management level, which comes in key, we have to take the gender ratio up. And I think there is a pressure also. There's a pressure also from outside, where in the office you just see male employees. There's a pressure that makes the management do that. It isn't the management who is willing to do it. I think it's a combination of the management getting pressurized by the society. As you know, not only in India but throughout the world, log kya kahenge, that matters to everyone. That is the stuff, I think, which drives this female hiring.
Okay. So to understand your point, you're saying that it is partly, let's say, from higher ups, partly because we there's a sort of fear of missing out on talent, which is possibly existing on different sections of society which we haven't tapped into, and partly because society is also very judgmental, or is puts a little bit of pressure on companies to perform in a certain way, what they find acceptable.
Yeah, correct. Like, you can just frame it like this. Let's say, for an example, there's a girl who's wanting to do engineering, but if her parents see that in that college there is no girl already been enrolled, he or the parent will fear to send her girl to that college. And that has happened in my college, where in my college we have 360 people and we have around 20-25 girls. So I had some of my friends whose parents were not willing to send them to the hostel because the ratio of boys and girls was so much. So these things actually drive people to take up such initiatives, so that we can get more and more girl into the tech. And that is where these kind of stuffs like diversity hiring comes in.
Okay, so what do you think about this particular approach, or this attempt at a solution, which is hiring specifically for people from a certain gender, or at least of a particular age, or maybe having a sexual orientation of gay or lesbian or trans, from the LGBT community, let's say. Do you think that this is an approach which is going to be beneficial in the long term? And if not, then why? And if so, then why?
I
A
don't
lot of
think there's
questions.
any. Yeah, a lot of questions. That was
I'm
so.
sorry. I'm sorry. I should take them step by step. Yeah.
Yeah, sure, not an issue. So I personally think this won't be beneficial in the long run. See, the idea is to the general idea of this starting diversity hiring is to get more and more girls or women into the tech, right? So I feel after probably some number of years, it should stop, because see, there is a point to everything, which like when you're doing a hiring by diversity, you cannot keep on doing that for 200 years, because at a point you have to stop. Otherwise people will start misusing this. For an example, in India the reservations system started to get the lower society people into work or somewhere into studies, because previously the lower people, like let's say for SC/ST community, they were not into studies. But now what I see is people are taking advantage of that. So there has to be a threshold where you have to stop. You cannot just keep on going. See, you started because of something, and once you see that that something has been achieved, let's say we come to a figure where we see that there are girls who have already got into engineering, they're working. I think that is the moment we should stop. Otherwise we will be facing a lack of talent, we'll be facing people getting into other fields. That will happen.
Okay. Okay. So you would be. I mean, am I putting this right? You would be okay with some diversity hiring as long as it has certain goals, and after that goal has been met. So this is, of course, legislation. What you're talking about, the reservations for particular communities, is legislation backed by the Indian government, which companies have no say over. In private organizations, it doesn't. It's still not there. In my personal opinion, that's a good thing. But in government organizations, it is there, and it's backed by legislation. So the companies don't really have much of a say in it. So let's keep that aside. If a company by itself, by its own free will, let's say, makes a decision that I want to hire people diversely, and let us say that it is impacting them negatively, they are not aware of it or they don't care. Is it anybody's business to come forward and tell them you should not do this in the sense of fairness, or is it nobody's business to go and tell them that you should be fair to people as long as they are making profits?
I think again, profit is a word which is very underrated. That is what I personally feel, because see, the amount of profit matters. See, everyone is gonna do profit if you're working, but the amount of profit and data, like, that's true. Like, see, there is a lot of data which says ki, just because of diversity hiring. Even I saw your last conversation with Shrey. There was mention about numbers which states ki diversity hiring has risen up the numbers even like exponentially. But like, how are you sure of that? You're not sure of profits. Like, how do you know that if a man instead of a girl was hired, you would have not given the same profit? Because you're not running two things parallelly. You're asking either the girl to do the work or the man to do the work, and then if you're asking them to do it parallelly, then you can compare profits. So let's keep the numbers aside, because judging on numbers is something which I do not believe unless and until both of them are treated on an equal scale. So numbers has nothing to do with this. The other thing is, if you're suffering losses, then I think you should introspect into why are you. Because see, diversity hiring is okay, but we have to look at the society also. Let's say we are having this discussion, right? If someone sees, he's gonna think he, obviously, if you're having this discussion, there's a point. There are people from colleges who are not agreeing to it, especially boys. Because for let's take my example only. If I'm having an opportunity, let's say into some XYZ company, and I see that that company is only accepting girls application, I'm going to be demotivated. This is the stuff which need to balance. If we are doing diversity hiring, probably we should open up more rules for boys as well. We cannot be like, we're just gonna hire girls, because that sends out a wrong message to the talented people, right? So we have to maintain a balance. If the companies are inclined to diversity hiring, it cannot be just diversity hiring. That is what I'll love to put.
Okay. So this, I mean, I'm getting where you're coming from. You're saying that there is a very important need for meritocracy in any kind of organization. You're also saying that let's not lose focus on what we set out to do, like basically making the playing field fair by totally excluding one gender or people of a particular age or various other ways in which you can slice and dice society. Also, another point that you brought up was that let's not speak about numbers. I do agree that a lot of research which is done around any part is sliced and diced according to people's perceptions and their own narratives, and then what they do is they read it in the lens that they want to read it with. But however, the papers that I have read till now do seem to indicate that there may be a positive for diversity hiring. I'm not for diversity hiring, rather it's for diversity in the workplace. I'm not entirely sure whether this is because of diversity of opinions that they're getting in, or is it because they are able to, it's just a blanket statement. So I'm not sure too much about the research. I wasn't able to come up with the conclusions. But yeah, guys, there's links in the description below if you want to check out, you can. Okay. Okay, so getting to your point, sorry, Striver, this is meritocracy is the most important thing in according to you. Would that be a right way to put it?
Yeah, that will be a right way to put it. As you said about numbers, I think you're absolutely correct that it's people's perspective which gives an opinion on numbers. For example, let's take a very common example. People start comparing cricket players of different eras. For example, people keep Sachin Tendulkar's numbers against Virat Kohli, and the fans of Sachin Tendulkar will say that, come on, he played against better bowlers. Then someone from our generation will say that Virat Kohli is the fittest one and he has got these many runs. So it's all about opinions. Numbers cannot decide unless and until they're pitched against the same I hope you understand the same project.
I think you made this point very well. You said that if things are happening in parallel, and if we can take the factors which are uh, basically, if there is a system and you can measure the input, and you can compare the outputs if the inputs are the same.
Right.
From the looks of things, from whatever research that I have been reading, yes, there are companies that they are comparing, which are running in parallel. So in the same sector, they are trying to make it as accurate as possible. This is from Harvard Business Review, and there was also one in Forbes, which, in my opinion, was a little skewed. I mean, it had some opinion in it, but Harvard Business Review seems to be extremely unopinionated. Still seems to be suggesting that diversity in the workplace is helping, despite having very similar companies. The only few factors which are differentiating them, one of them being diversity in the workplace. Having said that, of course, like you said, there is always slicing and dicing, and there is always maybe a deeper understanding to it. Causality does not always come through numbers. Okay, let's take meritocracy though. This is an interesting point, and I want to dive into it a little bit more. Let us say there are different people with different backgrounds. Okay, one person has a very high IQ but has very few resources in their life, because of which the tests that they're giving it, they're not doing very well. Their scores are low. While the other person has slightly higher scores than this person, but they come from a very rich background, and they had a bunch of family members who were all doctors. We are talking about meritocracy of doctors now. This person is performing better. So would it be fair to give this person who did not have many opportunities in life a bump now?
uh, I think it will be fair, but again, it's if we take into tech, then I personally feel that nowadays opportunities are everywhere. We don't see this stuff key. Hey, you're from a very good family, you can apply, and you're not from a very good family, you cannot apply. We don't see that. I think we give equal opportunities, but at the same time, saying ki you are not from a good family, let's give you more opportunities. I think that would be unfair to the one who is from a good family, because at the end of the day, what we are asked is questions of problems. We're asked to solve problems. If I can do it, the other can do it, and everything depends on his hard work that he has done till the date of the interview, right? It, like, families will help to guide you. Again, this discussion can go on unending, because the IITians will be like, people from IIT are guided by seniors, whereas someone from a tier 3 is not guided by senior. But again, the tier 1 people will come and say, hey, come on, you're talking about guidance nowadays. There are so many resources over YouTube. Correct. So what I personally feel is, after that span, like, obviously someone who's learning, someone who's was practicing a lot of problems, after that span of 4 or 5 years or 6 years, whatever he has studied, I think both of them are at equal place. If you talk about talent, they can be at equal pace. So after that, I don't think there should be a biasing on opportunities. I think everyone should be given equal opportunities, irrespective of gender, irrespective of their college. And that is also a very important point. Doesn't matter which college you belong to. I think everyone should be given an opportunity. And if they're good enough, I think they'll make it.
Awesome, awesome. So what you're saying is that we can basically take the structures that we have built and depend on them to measure the meritocracy of every candidate, and what we need to do is trust in them so that the best candidates come forward, and then we don't feel any bias in the final result. We don't need to twist and turn it. Okay, so at what point do we do this? Do we do this only during hiring, or should we do this in college also, or should we do this in schools? And if that is the case, then here's an interesting. The reason I'm asking this question is because, let's say there is a person from, like we said, the world is getting more and more equal in terms of opportunity every day, which is a great thing. 200 years ago, it was much better than 400 years ago, but right now is far better than 200 years ago. So we are doing really well in that trajectory. The problem being that if at what point do you say that we should make it totally merit based, no longer any reservation or quota based?
I think it can really start up from the school levels, because after school, I see in the college admissions, there is something like again, the reservation system in India, even I'm not sure about the world, but at least in India, the reservation system exists, and that is where a lot of talent misses out. I personally feel, and
Okay, so sorry, Striver, for cutting in here, but so if there is a reservation system based on a, so we are saying that you are from a particular group.
correct.
How about economic reservation? Would you be okay with economic reservation?
I think economic, again, there there can be a lot of things that can be implemented. We cannot tell him ki, okay, you're economically poor, and if you have got lesser marks, let's admit you into some premier institute. Probably we can bring in some changes. We can bring in a year where the government funds us education for financially poor people. We can fund the education for 1 year, and if they perform well, we're going to give them all the resources that someone from a financially rich background gets. And if after that they perform well in that 1 year, and after that, okay, they're more than welcome to the premier institutes of the country. But what I personally feel is just saying you belong to certain community, and even if you get lesser marks come into our, that is absolutely wrong, because I've seen people misusing that. I've seen people, for an example, in India there is something as BPL, below poverty line. So there are a lot of people in India who misuse them. You'll see a lot of people in your community who are way richer than the normal middle class people, and then they still have that quota. So something like a reservation should be well implemented, which is not in India, and that is what is being dragged into diversity hiring. So when we move from, let's say the university is done, and you move to the hiring process, again you have spent 4 years, and nowadays everyone has a freedom of internet. Everyone can access anything. You cannot complain ki I do not have resources, I did not get anything. So after 4 years, I think it should be good. If there is an opening coming up, no diversity should be there. And if you're bringing in diversity, and bring in extra openings, that is what I personally feel. Do not cut openings from someone who's deserving it. That is the point. The company should take care of it. If you're wanting to maintain a balance, add extra openings. That is absolutely okay. But don't cut in from someone who actually deserves it. That is something which hurts not only him, but the upcoming generation as well.
Okay, that is, so that is a argument which is like, let's get the best students on board, as long as we can, we can support them, or rather, yeah, we can support or assist them, but we cannot reserve things for people from a particular set of, people from a particular group. Okay, should we stop a company which makes a decision based on its own requirements, its own custom understanding of the job market, that I need these kind of people and these kind of people, and so they cut out sections, they reserve some seats for different sections of society? Should we come and ask them for fairness?
I think see, if a company uh, has thought of hiring for a particular stuff, like we're talking about diversity in tech, so I don't think for a software development engineer, when they hire, they don't do it this way, right? They just put an opening and they say, okay, we're gonna hire SDs and we're gonna put them into some cities and some teams, correct? So when you are saying ki the company is thinking ki this is the role, and I particularly require certain gender or certain community people, I think then it makes sense.
A little different than that. Let's say out of the 100 engineers, I know that let's say 50 of them should be male, but if I don't have, so 50 is a very huge number for female in engineering. So let's bring it down substantially to 10. At least 10 of them should be female. Otherwise, I have seen that long term we are not getting enough encouragement for the next generation of women to join our organization, or we are not getting enough policies which take care of the issues that women face in an organization. So to do that, I need to hire at least X percentage of women or X percentage of gay people.
So the companies are generally doing diversity hiring. For an example, a completely dedicated girls program where they simply hire girls for a position. Why can't we do a similar thing for boys? If we see from the other side, it's 90 guys getting hired for 100 openings. Why can't we do the other side, where we say that, okay, let's have a 10 openings for girls, let's have a different hiring for them. We can reduce the hiring level, that is okay. But when you're hiring for boys, why are we having everyone getting involved in that? That is the problem. See, if you're actually putting a benchmark, 90 will be boys, 10 will be girls. For 10 you're doing an exclusive hiring. For that 90 you're saying, okay, let's try out girls also. What if we get one or two girls out of that? That is not a that is where the people like who are from uh, smaller colleges who do not get a lot of opportunities, they are concerned. And coming to your second question, which was how do you tell them to not do this? Again, discussions like this, there as I remember, there was some company which was hiring on the basis of premier institutes. They had this hacker test link where everyone registered, and then they mailed key, no, only tier 1 people will be shortlisted. And there was a huge number of posts that appeared on LinkedIn which actually stated this stuff. And right after 3 days, the company had to change, and they allowed everyone to give that test. It doesn't matter whom they hired, but at least they gave an opportunity to everyone to give that test. So the more these kind of discussions will happen, the more people will come in and talk about these things. I think the more it will get into the companies here, and after that, I think there will be a change. It will take time, but yeah, everything takes time.
Okay, okay. So that is interesting. So you're saying that the more discussions around this topic, the more it gets highlighted, the good and bad points come forward. So freedom of speech is pretty important here also. Okay, interesting. And the other thing that you mentioned is there is a tendency of companies being a little hypocritical when it comes to hiring for diversity, because let's say majority groups are not specifically hired for, while minority groups have specific hiring drives for them, if I got your point right. So Striver, one of the things that I have noticed in one organization that I was working, like this is an anecdote, there was 100% males in that organization, and the number of rules that they had was very low. So the human resource department was very, let's say, gave a free hand to people to do whatever they liked. The problem that I saw here was that because there were 100% males, and if you keep them together with very few rules, the environment gets a little toxic. It's same with 100% females. I've heard similar stories from organizations with 100% females, but that's the thing, right? That's the diversity bit. Like what ended up happening is that the environment got a little physical. Everything used to be with swear words and insults. You could actually insult your manager, okay, if they wrote wrong code. So you could swear, and there was not much that the manager could do. They were trying to make the hierarchy flat, which is ridiculous because hierarchy should be based on competence. So the best guy should be here, and he should have a position of power, or she should have a position of power. But yeah, the main problem here was that we had people from one particular group, and what ended up happening, in my understanding, is that that group, being all males, had slightly higher aggression than it would be if we had a diverse group. And this became a feedback mechanism where they got more and more aggressive. If you are insulting to one person, they are insulting back. So it became a chain reaction. So how do you get rid of this?
I think this is one of the main reasons why diversity came in. Like as I can say, just because the other reasons being key, you're wanting to bring girls into the tech, while this can also be one of the reasons why you're wanting to improve the work culture, or this you want to remove this toxic nature, and you want to just boost up the morale of the other employees also, because sometimes you feel dull in an environment when no one talks to you. Like that happens to me. uh, that happens to me also, right? See, when you are a lot of boys, I don't think there is a lot of conversation that happens. When there is a girl involved, I think the conversation, the hours of conversation or the minutes of conversation generally tends to go up, and I think that is a human tendency. It's not about me, it's not about you. I think everyone will agree who is watching it. So I think these were the reasons where due to which diversity hiring came in. And as I said in my in the first part of the video, key, we have diversity hiring in place. You can use that, but how long? There will be a point when you have used diversity hiring for, let's say, X years. After those X years, there will be girls who will see other girls working at these top tech industries, and then the parents or they themselves will get motivated to actually work. And when they get motivated, I don't think there will be a problem. You don't have to do this diversity hiring after X years, because what what I feel is everyone will be equally talented. Now, I'm not saying as of now everyone is not equally talented. The stuff is, since the number of boys are so more, that if out of 100 boys, even if 5 boys are talented, whereas if the number of girls is 20, only one is talented. So that is why we think that the number of boys are more talented, whereas we don't see the overall ratio of boys is to girls. So if we bring in diversity hiring for X years, I think after a certain X years, we can have equal number, or not even equal, probably, who knows, we can have more girls than boys. So when that situation is there, I think the number of talented boys will be equivalent to the number of talented girls, and we don't have to do anything different. So the point lies is, diversity hiring can be done, but there has to be a full stop to it. You cannot keep on doing for years and years of diversity hiring, right?
Yeah, Striver, the problem that I see with this thing is that we are thinking like a government. We are thinking like, okay, there's n number of years, we have aggregated statistics which are indicating whether we are progressing or we are doing badly. All organizations are separated out. They have their own statistics. This organization might have very high diversity, this might have absolutely no diversity. This organization may collapse, this might go on forever. An organization which says that I want to implement this just for X years, organizations don't even know what's going to happen in the next 2 years. So, or maybe, I don't know, maybe Jeff Bezos knows what's going to happen in the next 5 years, but no sensible organization plans for anything more than 5 years, like concretely. So, I totally agree with your policy, but that would be a good policy in reservations.
Okay.
Implemented by the government. In this case, I don't know whether we can go to organizations and say that, hey, you have enough diverse people, now stop. It's a metric that they will end up agreeing on, so with themselves.
I think that
So
that is only what is going to happen in the longer run.
okay, so looking at the current situation, do you think there is a lot of friction between college students of different backgrounds right now? So there might be friction between, let's say, people who got reservation in college and didn't, and who are being favored for diversity hiring and who are not. And if so, why do you think there is this animosity between groups?
The main problem lies here कि जो someone from a tier 3, when he doesn't get a tier 1 college, he starts blaming कि I'm not getting opportunities because I'm not from a tier 1. Whereas a tier 3 kind of a guy or a girl should understand कि जब पढ़ने का मौका था, that is the 11 and 12 time, and we had to study, we did not up to the level which the tier 1 people had. So obviously, coming to when I'm in my third year or fourth year, I have to do a lot more hard work compared to someone who is in a tier 1 who will get opportunities on campus. So that is the first thing. We should stop crying over it. Rather, we should start getting ourselves much more skilled so that we don't face problems while applying. The other thing, for a girl who's applying via diversity, now there are a lot of girls who get opportunities or who get offers via diversity hiring who are extremely talented. So being talented is not bad. Okay, I'm absolutely okay with it. But I've seen a lot of girls who got hired by diversity, and then they start boasting about that in LinkedIn. They start ranting about that on YouTube as if they have beaten almost everyone in the world. And that is where the fiction kind of stuff comes in, because anyone who's seeing that will get triggered. Yeah, I did so much, and she just went into a diversity hiring and got hired in spite of doing almost nothing. She just did some problems and she was hired. This is where the main problem lies. So if someone is getting hired by diversity, accept it gracefully that you got hired by diversity. There is no harm in it. So the entire gist of my answer should be, accept where you are, and if you're not into it, then there is a problem, right?
Many times people are not even aware why they got hired. It's a black box. There is absolutely no transparency in hiring policies in any company. So someone says, yes, you got hired, that's it. So for me personally, I never knew that, okay, what are my scores, what happened, what is the feedback like, was it a lucky hire? I don't really know. The second thing is, even if I know I'm a diversity hire, am I going to take that cross and carry it all my life? Like, I don't think so. When you have entered the organization, it's over. And if you want to talk about it in social media or any place, I don't know whether people are bragging about it, saying that I'm the best. They should not be boastful in general. But I don't even know like whether I should go and stop them from being boastful if they are. in general, like if you got hired, wouldn't you say that yes, this was awesome, it was a lot of hard work, and I got the thing. And also, how much sentiment of the public are you going to take into consideration every time you speak? If you go on social media and you say something and people get offended by it, then that's going to happen all the time anyway. So even if, let's say, a tier 3 college guy got into direct I, people are going to say that, oh, that's because they take easier tests in tier 3. That can happen, and then they can attack me saying that you are a moron. But that's not going to stop me from posting on social media that, hey, I got this job.
No, the problem is not posting. The problem is repeatedly posting. See, you can, okay, if someone is getting hired, posting once is okay. But you cannot, for an example, I'll tell you, you cannot start preaching. Man, I got hired, now this is the way that you should do it. Like, see.
Why not? So it worked for me. My own personal experience says that this works. So maybe you can try it. If it doesn't work for you, well, I mean, you took my advice with the pinch of salt that I know what I'm saying. So I don't see any issue in a person posting on social media as long as they don't say, haha, you guys suck, you never got here, deal with it. As long as they're not being mean, seems totally fine to me. This is my personal understanding. I'm sorry, Striver. You can expand on the point. I'm actually cutting you out.
I understand your personality. See, there is a point. There is a thin line between wanting to help and you understand that wanting to help. There's a thin line between wanting to help and actually just doing for the sake of getting popularity, which is wrong. And this has been going. This has been going on social media that people are not wanting to help. Rather, people are wanting to take advantage because they got hired into such an organization. Whereas they forget the fact that it's diversity hiring. And this is where the fiction starts. And this is where people start getting so much of hate. We need to understand why are people hating diversity hiring. Because, see, Gaurav, for an example, just take an example. Both of us did not get an opportunity while we graduated from Tier 3. And at the same time, we saw someone get from our college who did not do anything for 4 years. Okay. And just in the 4th year, and we did a lot of stuff in the entire 4 years. She did not do anything in the 4th year, and she just went on to a diversity hiring, and luckily she got selected. So that is gonna trigger us. And if not so much, if after that every day on the social media I see she boasting about it, she putting on post ki aise karo, waise karo, this is where the entire hate starts.
Yes, Striver, I'm getting your point. It's a very good point if you're talking about moral principles. Like, this is not what should happen. However, in general, we need to be a little thick-skinned and not get triggered for everything. Like, this is a problem with another side in the US right now. A lot of people get triggered and they behave like snowflakes all the time. I don't want the young guys in this country to behave like snowflakes. Like, oh, I got triggered, I was really angry. Really, is this what's going to trigger you? Why didn't it trigger you when you were in 12th? If it did, then have you not grown up? There's quite a few things that people are going to post on social media. Another thing about fair opportunity, like at the end of the day, let's say my dad owns a factory in the old Mumbai, like really posh area. I see a person not studying at all and then starting their own business while I'm just sitting and earning cash so that I can one day start my own business. Am I going to be resentful? Maybe there is a kernel of truth that there will be resent, but as I grow, I will realize that fine, I have my own set of opportunities that I can pick on. I don't mean to say that people should be treated unfairly just because they can take it, but as a person who's responsible for yourself, you need to have a really thick skin. And if people are posting on social media, block them. There's a lot of people posting lots of nonsense on social media all the time. Just, if you don't believe it, block it. You have no right to go and personally attack them and tell them that you are X, Y, Z and you should not do this. It's their choice. To quote Neha Dupia, it's their choice.
Yes, Gaurav, absolutely.
No, I'm not. By the way, every guest who comes here, it's the basic courtesy that we can do to respect them. You don't deserve to be attacked at all, Striver. For many of the things that you might have said may have been like controversial, but you have been invited to this channel and you deserve respect or at least courtesy. So I am not ridiculing in any way any of the guests who have come here, whether it's Shreya, whether it's you. I truly believe that both of you should not be attacked for the opinions that you voice. The opinions can be attacked, not you.
Right. There is a, like, what happens is, we have got so much of enthusiastic blood now. They will be on the back of you attacking every time, and that is going to happen. So first thing is, as you said, it's absolutely correct. Ki if someone has a business, that is his fortune. You cannot keep on crying over it. Ki yaar, he's lucky. Papa ka business le liya. You cannot keep on crying over it. For how long will you? At the end of the day, accept what you have. If there are diversity hirings going on, absolutely fine. Like, you cannot do something for it. What you can do is, you can make yourself skilled enough so that for that limited opportunities that you have, you don't miss out on them. Rather than crying over everywhere, yes, you can put over an opinion, that is okay, but you cannot sit back and cry on it. You have to move on with what we have been presented with, and you have to make most out of it. That should be our main aim.
Totally agree with you. Yeah, we are not for communism. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming. This was at a time when there was a lot of negative publicity, let us say, on various social media about the kind of talks that we had on this channel. And it was really wonderful talking to you. It was a different perspective, I think, from what I have, and Shreya's perspective was also different from what I have. Mine is somewhere in a tangent, but I won't. I'll try not to reveal it. I'll be a good journalist and keep my mouth shut.
I know that. I know your perspective, right? We had a talk before the.
Yeah. That was personally for you, nobody else. Okay, cool. All right, Shriver. So, guys, if you're interested in algorithms or complex computer programming problems, Striver's channel is perfect. It will take you forward. It's a link in the description. Also, Striver has its own YouTube channel where he posts about. I don't know what he posts about. I didn't check that out, but yeah, take you forward is really nice. Okay, but Striver, do you have any parting words for us?
No, thank you so much, Gaurav, for inviting me, and for everyone who's watching. Take it in a sporting manner rather than throwing in abusive. You can definitely drop in your comments, and yeah, that is. Thank you, Gaurav, again for inviting me. Yes, before starting, I'd like to mention that I've been a huge fan of your channel. And like, when I was in second year, you started this channel, and I learned segment Rieman's algorithm and all these complex Grundy theorems.
Thank you, Striver. And of course, I've seen your content around dynamic programming. That's a topic that I never could grasp properly, especially when it came to explanations. See ya. Have a great day. Bye bye.
Thank you, Gaurav, again for inviting me.